How do you feel about the fact that somebody is releasing his prison calls?
That sounds like a crazy invasion of like not only morals, but like, is that even legal, bro?
So of course prison calls are recorded, but I don't think it's legal
to release that.
No, so I hope he's planning some type of legal action to rebut that within itself, because I've never seen jail calls leaking like this. And strategically leaking, it seems like when he's about to drop music and when he has other stuff going on. So so first and foremost, I think it's completely wrong on so many different levels. Yeah. People don't realize that people who are incarcerated are what's the word? They're supposed to be a protected class in certain elements, because they're vulnerable. They're a vulnerable population. Yeah. And so even releasing calls and stuff like that, I want everybody to take some of that stuff with a grain of salt, because you're in a different state of mind. Also, incarcerated, and you already don't have a lot of human rights while you're incarcerated. So
while you're out,
either,
but especially incarcerated,
especially when you're
23 hours in, 1 hour.
Yeah, man, you're in a different mindset. So for me, it's disgusting to leak somebody's calls from jail. As somebody who got friends and family who in jail, where I've taken jail calls and stuff, I couldn't imagine people leaking. That's nasty work. So off top, I think it's disgusting whoever's doing that, whether that be the prison, whether that be whoever is leaking that stuff out of pocket. All right, now moving on to the actual interview he did. He recently did an interview with a media personality out of Atlanta. I want to mess his name up.
I'm forgetting.
His name is leaving me. Sorry. Yeah. But a respected media personality. I believe he has a podcast as well, and a radio show. And his name will probably come to me as soon as while I'm talking. But did an interview with Young Thug, hours long, and Young Thug really got to talk more about his life, about his relationship with Gunna, and a lot of the stuff that he was going through while incarcerated, about his career, and really vent a lot.
The Big Facts Network.
The Big Facts Network, absolutely. Shout out Big Facts. So, of course, we're not a gossipy channel.
Right.
We're a hip-hop music channel. So we wanted to always with these topics, try to find what's the music? Mm-hmm. How does this impact hip-hop music?
Yes.
And what we want to talk about a little bit is how do you feel about artists expressing themselves more in podcasting and on social media and not in the actual music?
I think it's a complete waste, personally, because I think, and this coming from a media member, right? So who would love
both of us have worked in media before.
Yes.
I got out and jumped into another wild wilderness of academia, but it's yes, as media people, it's still out of pocket.
It's still out of pocket. As someone who would want that interview, I'm still saying to myself, and I would even ask the question that Banks, the interviewer, asked, why don't you just put this in the music? Like, why haven't we heard music from you? And that was the thing that stuck out to me when I watched the interview, and a perspective we've shared for countless months following his release, and some of the other drama with him and Gunna and other people. Ever since like the whole situation transpired, why aren't we hearing music? We want to hear music. And I think, yes, as a media member, as a lover of hip hop, I rather hear artists really address this over wax, because number one, I feel there's no better way, especially if you're a thug, to really express this than musically. I feel like, like an interviewer, sure, you can delve into certain topics in depth, but I feel like with music, that is your medium. Yeah. Like that's why we know you. Right. Like, we wouldn't know you if you weren't an artist. So why not put it into the music, pour it into the music, so we can really not only get a different perspective from you, but even potentially learn from you. Yeah.
But I agree. I think that on the PR side, I think it was a good move.
Yeah. He had to address it.
On the PR side, I get why he did it the way he did it, because a lot of people, and I've learned that, of course, even teaching courses on music, a lot of people listen to music on a very surface level. So it might not cut through the same way in music.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
And it takes longer.
Yeah, it takes longer. So he wanted to address it right away. So I on that front, I get it, but I think that it's a bigger trend of artists doing more venting and talking and on social media, on podcasts, on even radio, and instead of expressing all of those emotions through music.
Yeah.
Me, you know how I am when it comes to, I don't really care about artists, what they got going on in their personal lives outside of the music.
Yeah.
Like I'm not fans. I don't know y'all. I don't care who you dating. That's nearly not my bag. So I want to hear about, if you want to talk about your relationship and your trauma, and that the place for that, if you're a real artist, that is your music. Like express that through your music. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think that I that's what I appreciate more. Like Chance is a prime example. We haven't heard Chance in the last few years talk about his divorce.
Yeah.
He could have went on interviews all over the place just talking about, him being divorced, but he waited until his music came out. Now he's talking about it in interviews.
Exactly.
But he waited until he put it in song, and you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that that's the best way to do it if you're trying to stay true to your art, at least.
Exactly. And the best thing about that is when you put it on wax, sometimes you only have to address it then.
That's it.
Like, that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean? Rather than, like, going on a podcast, like, tour where you're regurgitating a lot of things that people have already heard from you. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just different. I get it as a PR stunt, but I'll tell you one that ended up poorly in my estimation. Travis Scott, in the years following, or the months or weeks following the Astro World catastrophe, right? And, of course, we give our thoughts and prayers to those whose lives were lost in that incident, right?
Yeah.
But he immediately, the first thing he did was go in an interview with Charlamagne the God. My man could not have worded anything ever in regards to that situation more poorly than that.
Yeah, that was bad.
And he's never addressed it in music, still to this day. And like, I think that's a miscalculation on his part, because again, that could have been a teaching moment. That could have been a lesson for us all in knowing maybe where his headspace was at, how to avoid such things. Like, it could have been so much more valuable than doing an hour-long interview, which was a pitch ball interview or whatever it's called. Like, it was kind of a gimme, right? Like, and again, he's not like the most he doesn't express himself well in situations like that in the best way, and I feel like it would have worked musically. It
would have worked better if he had made some type of commemorative, like emotional, heartfelt song about the event, and almost in like memory of those who were lost.
Exactly.
Now, I don't know if he's musically capable of doing that.
I don't know if he's not. Now, he has been emotional on songs like Coffee Bean, Apple Pie, where it's like, he's not cutting through like Bounce and Push on you know what I mean? Birds Don't Sing, but
a song after all them people died.
Come on.
Do Travis Scott got a song for that? I don't know how I feel about Straight Up being in the background of a song.
The Flame.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to hear a R.I.P. song from Travis Scott. I don't know. But I get what you're saying.
At least try. At least try. You know what I'm saying? So that was crazy. But again,
but I agree. That was a prime example of it being handled poorly in media, and like I said, I think it's more impactful when you put it in your songs.
Yes.
And I think even another example, we just talked about Clips' album with the joint Birds Don't Sing. I don't know if you knew, but I had no idea they had lost their parents that close, and probably I never knew they lost their parents at all.
Exactly.
So I think that but when you put it in song form, it's something that actually can impact people's lives. It's something that can motivate and inspire people. It's bigger than you just talking about something on social media.
Absolutely. And
a moment in time where somebody going to look at it, scroll past it, and never pay attention again.
Exactly. Versus a song that can last and be a soundtrack to someone's life or set experience for years and years. Like, how many people listen to Crossroads by Bone Thugs-n-Harmony? Like, that's one of many examples we can share. Yeah,
Crossroads, Lost My Dog by Lil Wayne. Yep. Like, those are songs that have stood the test of time. Even, I know we don't, I know it's a little iffy to talk about Diddy, but Missing You, another one,
classic one.
Like those are classic records that help people get through losing people. You know what I mean? Exactly. And I think that they've always stood the test of time because they poured out everything in the songs instead of. But there was no social media when some of those were made. But
still, exactly. Thankfully, yeah, So man, rappers gotta stop going on these. I'm not saying don't go on these podcasts because you got to promote your work. I'm not saying that, but like just as the source of like some of these issues, concerns, topics, bro, I think they can be done in just a better way, more tasteful way too. On top of that,
Rapping Reason Podcast with Dr. Jeremy C. McCool and Earl Hopkins.